Hey guys, we are going to be cracking the narcissism code. We're going to walk through a three-part series, go over the simple steps to keep your peace of mind and how to deal with a narcissist if you have one involved in your life, or if you have ever dealt with one, or you are going to deal with one. Walking through these three steps here in just a few minutes. Stick around, I'll talk to you in a few. Hey guys, my name is Kelby Hightower, Medicare Hub, and we are an agency that specializes in Medicare health plans. We often say we want to make your life easy by making Medicare simple. And another one of my passions is also to step aside sometimes, talk about real life application, growing as far as a leader, as a person. We've been going over a series of videos just to help people that are 65 and older really live their best life as they move through the last quarter century of their life. I hope this video also helps give you some empowerment on how to deal with a narcissist. The first thing we're going to be talking about in this first series of three series video that I'm doing, the first one is talking about what we would call a broken record, and then mirroring if you are dealing with a narcissist. And I like to describe narcissism as this, if you're struggling to connect with someone who seems self-absorbed, overly critical, and constantly seeks attention, you're usually dealing with a narcissist. That's kind of a vague way. I like to really break it down into what's called DARBO, and I'll dive into this a little bit more as well and have on some other videos. But DARBO basically means that person is very defensive. If you bring something up like, hey, you're doing this, it could be a child, and the child may be 40, and y'all get around a family function, and they always are kind of throwing you under the bus. Like, yeah, Mom, you've always, flown over the handle with me. And you're like, hey, can we talk about this alone? It seems like there's some unresolved issues here, and I want to be able to walk through these with you and resolve those. I hate that you feel that way. And you're trying to address it as a responsible adult, but they don't do that. They become defensive. So DARBO is defensive, attack, reverse victim, and then all of a sudden you're the offender. You're the person that's always doing it. So they are narcissistic in that they're always looking through life through, about themselves, and you're always doing this, and they're attacking, they're defending, attacking, reverse victim, and they're always the victim. They're always wearing the big V on their chest when it comes to their t-shirt of choice. It's always them being the victim. Somebody's always doing something with them, but they're also very controlling people and wanting to control the outcome of what's happening. So that defines a narcissist. And then how do we deal with that? Well, we would say, in this scenario I just gave, you step aside in the kitchen and say, hey, let's talk about this when it's in a better time. It's not a great time. And then you come back into the room with the other people, and they all of a sudden bring it back up. Yeah, Mom's always, and then whatever that may be. And maybe you've done that, maybe you haven't. Maybe it was a very small element of who you were 20 years ago, but they have not let go of it. They're using it to control you. You could do this, what's called a broken record. You say, hey, Bobby, let's talk about this later. And then, I want to talk about it right now. And they want to bring this into a conversation with a group of people. Or they want to just, gaslight you and twist the narrative, even if you're alone. And you can say, hey, like I said, I don't feel comfortable talking about that around other people. Let's talk about that later. And then they just continue on. You would say, Bobby, again, son, I said I do not feel comfortable talking about this right now. We'll talk about it later. Now, in a group, you can do two things. You can stand there and continue to do what I call broken record, or you could just get up and say, sorry I feel that way. I've shared that I'd talk to you later. We'll talk about it then. And then walk out. Dismiss yourself and remove yourself out of the situation. Now, the second one is a mirror effect. Mirroring effect is somebody that's healthy emotionally. So if you're going to mirror back to somebody, this is probably used more for somebody younger, but also you don't want to come across that you're being egotistical and you're in a position of authority here and they're below you. You want to play on equal playing fields, but you want to hear what the person says and you want to mirror back to them what they just said. So a lot of times I'll ask a question, I'll say, can you explain to me the problem that we've created a problem, it sounds like. Can you explain to me what exactly we have done? And I'll let them talk. I'll let them share their problem. And then I'll mirror that back and say, so what I just heard you say is this. And I'm going to mirror back exactly what they said. Is that what you said? And is that how you feel? Now, mirroring, if you don't use it correctly, can backfire. It can become very condescending. It can be very sarcastic, passive aggressive. So you need to understand how to mirror and practice that. You can do some research on mirroring, but it's a great way of, especially if you're talking with a friend and they're sharing something with you and they share a lot of information. Maybe they talk and talk and talk and talk, and you say, let's break this up into parts. Explain to me again exactly what this problem is, and explain what was said. And then you say, okay, let's stop, and then let me kind of make sure I can reflect this back to you. Then you wouldn't say mirror this back, you'd say reflect this back, and you would say, and you would share back, reflect back, is that what was said? And then this is how it made you feel, correct? Okay, I got that. Now go to the next part, and then let them share. And then overall, you would take all those maybe 4 different parts of things that they're sharing, and it's 30 minutes of conversation, and go, okay, how can I help in this? So that is a little bit different than being a narcissist attacking you. You could say, so you're sharing with me that you feel like you made this decision, and this is the outcome of that decision, but what I hear you saying, it's my fault because 5 years ago or as a child, I made you feel like this. And so you're trying to deal with a past problem in a present situation, typically with mirroring. Because what you can do is they've made the decision to act a fool or whatever they've done, but you can take responsibility and say, well, Bobby, you know what, I want to take responsibility. One, you're a grown adult and you're making your own decisions. But if I've made you feel like that as a child, I want to take responsibility. I am sorry I did this to you. And you're going to claim the responsibility, ask for forgiveness, try to reconcile that, and then move on. And often they're going to bring that back up later on because they're narcissistic. They want to control, they want to usurp authority over you, control over you. And they're going to say, well, you didn't really mean it. And that's going to be gaslighting. They're going to take and begin to gaslight. So in that situation, I'm going to just reflect back to them, or I'm going to be a broken record. Well, I didn't mean it, or I wouldn't have brought it up. And you know me well enough to know I don't share my heart unless I really mean it. And I did take ownership of that. Did I not? Did I not say, I'm sorry that this happened, whatever that is? I'm sorry I made you feel this way. I'm sorry this came about like this. This was my problem. I didn't take responsibility over, but I have done that, changed that, but now I'm taking responsibility over how it made you feel and affected you. So we're going to mirror back and communicate. We're not going to buy into the narcissistic behavior. So identifying narcissism, very simple. There's 5 top signs to watch for. Grandiosity and self-importance. They often exaggerate achievements, expect constant praise, and have a sense of entitlement. They feel like they're entitled to be right on everything. Second is lack of empathy. They struggle to understand or share feelings of others, or often dismiss them. So, you're saying, hey, when you begin to bring this up in a crowd, it made me feel like this. And I'm like, I don't, just blow your feelings off, and they go right back to, defending, attacking, gaining control, making you realize, projecting onto you how they feel. They just have a narcissistic tendency, or they're a narcissist, and they're just going to be like that until they make a decision to change. Need for admiration. They're always needing to be praised. Oh my gosh, Billy's just, I'm an only child. I always say I'm an only child, and I was adopted. So I am like Jesus incarnate to my mom as a child. I can do, my parents did a great job raising me, but the reality is I'm an only child and I'm adopted. So guess what? I was very narcissistic when I got married. I didn't know what narcissism was. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I was very controlling. I would gaslight my wife. I would be narcissistic. I was passive aggressive. I was very sarcastic. I was like, and I always thought it was her fault. I mean, like, that's not my fault. It's your fault because you did this. I mean, I would be an idiot of a jerk and then turn around and try to twist it and make it my wife's problem. So that's being narcissistic. Now, thankfully, through age and therapy and me doing self-work, I've changed that around. I realize and identify, a little God complex that my mom may have had with me, and I love my mom, but I was an only child, and Also, I was adopted. So there was this, not only my only child, but let's push in adoption on top of that. So I had to bring myself back down. The second half of life living brings me back to a place of servanthood. So I try to operate out of serving others. And if I'm doing that, it keeps me humble. If I don't do that, I can pull myself back up to this point. And I've done the self-awareness, I've done the studying, I'm growing as a person, I'm progressing, not being perfect, and I'm trying to teach you guys some tools and resources as well to apply to your own life. So hopefully that helps. But if you have an only child, kid, and you adopted them, they probably had some trouble with narcissism. Reoccupied with fantasies, they may fixate on unrealistic fantasies of success, power, and brilliance. I mean, they're all about just asphyxiating themselves into something. About them. Trouble with relationships. You'll see a lot of times, married once, married twice, never can keep a friend. It's always somebody else's fault. They can even appear super sweet and humble, like, oh, she's a sweet person. And then you're like, hold on. Like, they have no friends. There's something about we're wired to have friends as a person, as people in community, to have friendships, deep-seated friendships with some, shallow, more shallow level friendships with others, but we're made for community. So when you get around somebody that has trouble with relationships, they have trouble with relationships due to their need for control and their inability to accept blame. And blame is all about, you did this and it was wrong. And you going, you're right, I take responsibility for that, I'm sorry I made you feel this way, and then making it right with other people that you've hurt. That is going away from being a narcissistic mindset to people that are just living in it. So, broken record technique, hopefully this has helped you guys, and then the mirroring technique also, hopefully that helps you. We have one other series, one other part of the series, or two other parts that are very, very interesting that I'm going to share with you. Second part here in just a second. Do jump on. If you guys have not liked, subscribe to our channel. We're always talking about Medicare stuff, and then I also like to dive into sometimes real life principles of leadership and things like this about narcissism, because it affects us all. It affects how we make decisions living our life. I want you to be able to live the best life possible at 65 years of age and older, and I hope these things are helping you apply some simple steps and boundaries to allow you to recapture your peace when it comes to your home, your life, and who you are as a person. I'll talk to you on the next video.